is up, guys? It is the Turtle Girl. Welcome to the channel, or welcome back to the channel. Today we are learning things that you probably didn't know about leopard geckos. So leopard geckos are pretty common pets. I would say that they're probably at least one of the top 3 pet reptiles that are kept by anyone. I would say alongside bearded dragons and I don't know what else. Maybe, I don't know if turtles are that common, but leopard geckos are just one of the most common pet reptiles that people own. And so as such, there's a lot of information about them and their care, but there's also some more obscure things that you don't always hear about, and that's what I wanted to share with you in today's video. You want me to just hold you like that? Okay, we'll hold you like that. You're just like chilling. The first thing is that although oftentimes leopard geckos have been described as nocturnal or crepuscular, they're actually cathemerl, or a lot of times they display cathemeral activity. Cathemerl? I'll spell it out right here. This was actually something that I learned recently, and this term, cathemerl, I'm sure I'm not saying it right, but it basically says that they're sporadically active during the day, that they're not necessarily always active at dawn or dusk or always at night, but rather they kind of just are active whenever. In the wild, it has been said that they demonstrate more crepuscular behavior, but at least in captivity, now more and more people are saying that leopard geckos are cathemerl. And this is actually something I have found to be true with my experience of keeping leopard geckos. He's not just active like in the evenings or in the mornings, but sometimes he's out and about during the day. I can see him walking inside the tank, and they just make their own sleep schedule. I don't know how they do it, but that is one interesting fact that you probably didn't know. Next thing has to do with shedding. So you probably know that most reptiles shed their skin kind of like a snake. They shed it so that they're able to grow. It's like the outer layer with the scales and stuff. And if you didn't know, well, now you know, leopard geckos shed. So for instance, here is a snake shed from my milk snake, Sienna. As you can see, it's kind of dry and crusty. I don't know if you can even see the scales, but this is a snake shed. Leopard geckos also shed their skin, but the reason you never see it in their tank is because they actually eat it. Yeah, it's like if you were to like lick the dead skin cells off of your body, but leopard geckos are actually very resourceful, and the reason they eat it is just because there's all kinds of nutrients and other things they can get from ingesting it, as opposed to just wasting this dead skin that they just took off their body. This often happens at night, so it's very rare to catch it. I have not ever really seen Kuzan eat his shed. I have caught him slightly in the process of shedding, but not actually eating it, so I don't have any footage for you, but I'm sure if you looked it up, you could find videos of geckos eating their own shed. The one thing to also watch out for, I'll just add this note here while we're talking about shedding, is that sometimes if there's not enough humidity when they're shedding, the shed can get stuck on their toes and other small areas and cut off circulation. And so it's important to make sure that that shed does not get stuck on their toes or any other small areas like the tips of their tail. The tip of their tail. Actually, speaking of tips of the tail, so you probably already knew this one because this is a more common fact, but leopard geckos can actually lose their tail when they're threatened. They can actually detach it with special muscles and use that as an escape mechanism to get away from a predator, and then that tail can actually regrow in like a month or 2. The regenerated tail does not look like the original. It doesn't have like the same texture and sometimes not even the same coloration, but it is pretty impressive that they can lose this giant organ on their body. I guess it's not an organ, but it kind of is an organ, isn't it? They can just lose this giant piece of their body and still be able to grow it back. Now, of course, it causes a lot of shock and stress on the animal for that to happen, but it is pretty neat that they have that ability. The other thing about leopard geckos is they can actually kind of talk. They can actually have this little chirping noise that they make if they're like stressed. It kind of sounds like a croak. I have heard Kuzan do this probably twice when I have like flipped him over to inspect kind of his vent area, because they have their femoral pores down there that sometimes need to get cleaned, which is a whole other topic. But they can actually kind of make this little like chirp kind of noise, and I didn't know that until I owned a leopard gecko, so that's something interesting. They can also scream. Like baby leopard geckos, I believe, have the ability to scream or shriek, make a really loud noise, in the hopes that it will scare away or deter predators if they're really in a life-threatening situation. You never want to hear a leopard gecko scream though, because that just means they're really in severe danger and very, very stressed. Also, leopard geckos are geckos, but if you think about like the gecko or the normal geckos that you often think of, They can often climb up walls, and they don't have eyelids. But leopard geckos are unique because they cannot climb up walls. Like, you see these little feet? You see the little feetsies? These feetsies do not have sticky toe pads, so they cannot climb up walls, and so it actually makes them great since they are a lot less likely to escape than a lot of other geckos that you could own, like day geckos or tokays or even crested geckos. They also have their ear canal, which you can kind of see. Do you see Kuzan's? His ear is right there. This little hole right there, that's their ear canal. And that ear canal passes all the way through the head. So like from my angle, I can literally see straight through into the camera because the ear hole passes all the way through. There's just a very thin membrane in there. Also, if you take a look at a leopard gecko's eyes, if you look long enough, you'll notice that they can blink. Are you gonna blink for us, Kuzan? That'd make this easy. Of course, now that I want him to blink, he's not gonna do it. Come on, even if I boop you, will you blink if I boop you? Boop. Oh, he licked it. Okay, well now that I said it, he literally won't do it, but leopard geckos can actually blink, and their family of geckos is one of the only ones that actually have eyelids, because most geckos just stare at you and will never blink their eye, but leopard geckos actually have a movable eyelid, which you will not demonstrate for us, will you? They can also lick their own eyeball in order to help clean it and moisturize it, which is a pretty crazy feat. I mean, imagine if your tongue could lick your eyeball. I'm just saying. So leopard geckos are just really, really cool creatures, and those are some things that you hopefully didn't know about them. I guess if you already knew them, then you're just doing a lot of research and you're pretty smart. But if you didn't know them, or if you did know them, either way, let me know in the comments down below, and feel free to share other facts about leopard geckos that you think other people don't know but probably should know. I hope you found this video helpful and enjoyable. If you did, feel free to drop the thumbs up down below, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you all next Friday. Have a totally awesome day. Bye!